Welcome, everybody, to another edition of Tackle Shop Live.
Sunny day, right there you took my breath away. Young and pretty, was it just a dream?
What's up, everybody?
The next day you called me up.
Carlisle's here. How you doing, Carlisle? What is happening? Chris Benninger's here. Sam and Sam back in the house.
Your love is real. You make me smile when I think of you. If I am down or when I am blue.
What's up, Paul? How are you doing, Matthew? James Hook's here. Lane Graves is in the house. How you doing, man? Got a great show for you guys tonight. Another edition of Tackle Shop Live coming up to you tonight. Greasy Flyers here. Lane Graves is here. Joshua, how are you doing, Joshua? Good to see you, buddy. Troy LaFavre. Right on. John Pennington. Frank Garvey, how you doing? Mark, how you doing, Mark? Man, we got a great bunch of guys here. Conway Hayden's here. St. Cress. What's up? Man, we got a good show for you guys tonight. Tonight only. Mike and Nick. Cameraman Nick and Mike going to be doing the show for you tonight.
Well, we got to hold down the fort.
Yeah. George is on vacation, taking a couple days off, and we told him to go ahead and go. We can handle it. We got this. I got Nick, so that's all I need. We got a good show for you tonight. We got Tucker Smith for you. And Tucker, is a great young kid, up and comer, fishing the Opens EQ series of tournaments. So we're going to bring him in here in just a few minutes and talk fishing with him, see what he's up to, talk to him about some of his techniques that he does. So that's going to be a lot of fun. Want to thank everybody, Nick, for being at Smallmouth Saturday.
What a great time.
It was a great time. We had Smallmouth Saturday. We had some snow, so kept some guys away. I know there was a couple people that came in throughout the week here that really wanted to make it, but they got snowed in.
But you know what? A lot of people came out because they had to see Mike.
That's right.
How did it go, Mike? Tell us.
Well, I realized that 1 hour isn't enough time to do a seminar. I wanted to go for like 3.5 hours.
Oh, so you didn't have enough time.
I didn't have enough time. We had a good time doing the seminar, and I hope everybody enjoyed it. I know that I had a good time, but we had a lot of guys here that made the trek. Had a great time for Smallmouth Saturday. Great seminars. Hope everybody learned something. But also, what was cool, Nick, was we had all of the local guys.
Yeah, and they always do a great job.
They do.
They were giving out advice. They were helping everyone.
Yeah,
pick the right stuff and just talking fishing.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it was kind of cool to have that going on. To be able to get that one-on-one with everybody. And I'm telling you, guys were picking brains and they learned a lot of stuff here. So that was a good time. And I just want to thank everybody so much for coming to that event. It was a lot of fun and braving the trek of the storm, the snowstorm. Really wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be, really. The roads weren't bad.
Well, that snow laid on the grass, but it really melted quick on the roads.
Well, that's funny. Nick said, sent us a picture first thing in the morning. You had 12 inches.
We had 12 inches of snow.
Yeah.
We had lake effect snow from Blue Marsh,
Right.
And then we weathered the storm and we came in.
Yeah, right on. So, but that was a great time. And up next, put it on your calendars, ladies and gentlemen, March the 15th and 16th is our Cabin Fever sale. And right now we have two special guests coming. Bernie Schultz is going to be here doing some seminars both Friday and Saturday. And on Saturday, we have Mike Iaconelli coming to do some seminars and hang out with us for the day. Really looking forward to seeing him again. He's always fun to hang out with and very knowledgeable about fishing and really fishing around the Northeast here. So we can pick some good information from him. That's going to be a good time. We also have some striper seminars coming from some guys down on the lower Chesapeake, dynamite, hardcore side imaging and forward facing sonar experts for finding stripers. So that's going to be pretty cool. Those guys are cutting edge. They are really cutting edge. So they're going to be here. And we also have some guys from Megabass coming, and they're going to do a BFS seminar. So a lot to learn, and we're adding guys every day, still working on a few seminar speakers. So that'll be coming up. We'll be letting you guys know and posting a schedule here when we get everything finalized in the next week or so. So,
well, the other thing cool about that, Mike, is, you're getting Bernie Schultz and you're getting Mike Iaconelli, but you're also getting them right after two elite tournaments.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of fresh information that you'll be able to talk about.
Well, those guys are cutting edge,
right?
I mean, even if they have a bad tournament, they learn like super amount of stuff.
Yeah. Exactly.
And those guys are hanging out with the best. They are the best, and they will give you the best information. So that's always good to have those guys here.
Absolutely.
And we can pick their brains for that big time. So March 15th and 16th, mark it down, Cabin Fever sale, our last big event of the year. If you haven't made the first two, this is your last chance to get there. Stop in, see us. It's a 2-day event. Food trucks. We got the pizza guy coming back, so you guys can stay all day long. You don't have to be leaving and coming back, leaving and coming back. You can stay all day, and we'll take good care of you. So that's coming up. Now, we're going to get this show going, and I want to bring in our special guest, and that today special guest is Tucker Smith. How you doing, Tucker?
I'm good. How are you?
Well, we're doing great, man. Thanks so much for joining us today here on Tackle Shop Live. You guys were on once before. I think I had you and Logan on, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, right after you won that big, cool $1 million from the Bass Pro Shops fishing event, right?
Oh yeah, that was unbelievable, man. Life-changing event.
You're still riding that wave, aren't you?
I am, yes, sir.
Well, that's every time I think of you, I think of that tournament, because that was such an unbelievable deal for you. But now I see your name all the time flying around on the Opens, the EQ series from the Bassmasters. And this is your second year on those?
Yes, sir. I fished I think it's my third. I fished like a few divisions, but this is the first year I'm fishing all 9 to try to qualify.
Yeah, good deal. Well, I mean, you're started out right. I mean, you're sitting in 6th place right now in Angler of the Year points. You had a great first tournament. How was that? How did you feel about that first tournament?
Oh man, I was real worried about Okeechobee. I haven't had an amazing track record in Florida. I've caught them there sometimes, but not a ton, and that was definitely the one on the list that I had circled for, being kind of worried about. And I was just trying to get a check and make it through that event, and it ended up being more, better than I thought. We went into that event thinking, everybody's going to be fishing the same areas that they always do every single year. You watch live, you see all the guys packed together. And I was wanting to do something a little bit different. And I was wanting to get away from that crowd. And I knew that if I'd found something away from the crowd and, kind of had to myself, that I had a better chance of catching fish, and that's what I did. I found an area that fit my style of fishing, and I used that to my advantage and used my forward-facing sonar and was able to pick off some fish in Florida. So
yeah, right on. And you did do something different. Now I get all these tournaments screwed up. So if I'm wrong on this, just let me know. George isn't here to keep me straight. So me and Nick are running this thing, from the seat of our pants. So,
that's right.
But you were fishing in the Rim Canal, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
It's ruined now.
Yeah, right.
I was hoping it wasn't going to come out so we could go there every year and that we had to go there, but it looks like cat's out of the bag.
Well, every now and then, over the years, there's a guy that goes in there and catches them. I remember one year there was a guy that was catching them in there with a 10XD or something kind of crazy crankbait.
Really?
Yeah, at a crazy time of the year. And I don't think he caught them all the days, but I know one day he weighed a giant bag out of there, and he did well in the tournament, but I don't think the fish held up like kind of like your fish seemed to be a lot more consistent. And so what was the key for you? Like, I know when I go places and especially a place like that has cover every 1 inch of it's like everything looks great. What was the deal? Because that's a big area. I mean, it's called a rim canal. It goes all the way around the damn thing. So there's lots of water there. What did you do? What were you looking for? And what made you key in on what you were keying in on?
Yeah, I was really focusing on the clearest water that I could find. That's a huge thing in Florida. It seems like finding that clear water is a lot better. Finding that clear water, usually there's a better population of fish. So really, I just looked for the clearest water that I could possibly find, and the most fish that I could possibly find. So ended up driving around. I really just practiced everywhere on the whole lake. I went up and pre-practiced before off limits and looked around at some places, was able to eliminate some water there. And then from then on, official practice, one of the days actually went up in that area and saw how clear the water was, and ended up looking around in there and finding some fish, and didn't really know what to expect. I caught a 5 pounder and some 4 pounders and some good ones, but I didn't really know the caliber size fish that were in there until day one of the tournament.
Mm-hmm. Right on. That's great. And one of the things I saw was you were kind of concentrating on some like rock points and stuff like that. And did you when you fished those, was that all forward facing stuff in there?
It was. I used my side scan and down scan a lot to find the little places that were different
Mm-hmm.
that would hold fish. But yeah, from then on, I would put the troll motor down after I found something that looked a little different and see if there
Yeah.
was anything on live scope out there.
Yeah. Cool.
So Tucker, when you see cover or structure, and you're using forward imaging, and this is going to help a lot of people out there, maybe, can you see the fish on the bottom, or you're basically fishing that cover or structure without seeing them?
It's a little bit of both. It depends on the bottom composition. Sometimes if the bottom's real hard, it's hard to see those fish because their hard return on the screen blends right into the hard bottom. And then sometimes with that softer bottom, you could see them poke out more. They have a harder return, so it's easier to see them. But actually, if there was a bunch of fish in an area, you could see them kind of like dotted up, and kind of poking off the bottom. So a lot of times you would see in Florida, you would see like one or two fish just kind of moving across the bottom. You'd throw over there, and then 5 or 6 of them would come up and come off that little area.
I saw you caught some on a jerkbait. Is that correct?
Yeah, I did. They love jerk baits in Florida. It's something about that action. I don't know what it is. They like that ripping action. Then when it just sits there, I don't know. Those largemouth in Florida like it slow. They don't like it moving very fast. And it seemed like when that jerk bait just sat there in their face, they would eat it.
Nice. So you came up through the high school ranks. You were a terror on the high school circuit, and then you went into the college ranks, and you met some guys and fished with some guys along the way. One of them, of course, I think you and Logan fished Auburn together.
Yes, sir. We fished my first 2 years at Auburn together.
Yeah. And of course, Logan fished today, his first day on the Elite Series, which was awesome to see. Him fishing the Elite Series.
He had a good day.
He had a great day. I think he's in 12th place right now.
It's awesome.
Which is awesome. I mean, that's absolutely phenomenal. Super excited about him fishing that. And then I also have a note here about I guess Drew Gill.
I do know Drew. We both are sponsored by the same GSM, which is basically a head company of Yamamoto, Bill Lewis. So we got to spend some time together. couple weeks ago and filmed some stuff for them. So yeah, I know Drew pretty well.
Yeah, so Drew, he did well fishing. I guess he's fishing on the MLF, and he did. I think he did he win Rayburn, or he did well at Rayburn.
Yeah, he won.
Yeah, he won that.
Mhm.
So there's a win, and the other one that name I have here that I don't know if you know him that well is Hayden Marbot.
Oh yeah, that's my best friend.
There you go. I thought so. I thought that was your buddy, and he's tearing it up on the Toyota on Gunnersville. So
Yeah, he just won the Toyota series at Gunnersville with 70 pounds for 3 days.
unfreaking believable,
That's
man.
impressive.
So you guys, you guys are absolutely on a tear, and it's not like you just got on a tear. You guys have been on a tear for a while now, and I kind of know what it is that's doing it, but is it just the way that things are fishing now, and the ability to understand the new technologies that are out there? You think that's really what you guys are all about, or do you think that it was from these, being able to start so young and tournament fish so young in the high school series? You think that helped you more so than this new technology?
Yeah, I think honestly it's a little bit of both. If you when you think about it, like I think time on the water is huge. It's probably the most important thing. Being able to get out there and put your time in and figuring out different conditions and different ways to catch them, but also being able to adapt with the technology. That's something that that me and some of my friends have been blessed. Growing up in this age, being able to learn that stuff as we go, and being able to adapt to that stuff is so important now, with just the way that things are going, and people are using forward facing sonar in most every tournament now. So it's definitely good to have a little mix of both.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mike, I was glad you brought that up because Tucker, what's so impressive to us is, if you win a tournament, which you won that big tournament, the $1 million tournament, that's impressive.
Mm-hmm.
But when you're consistent
Yeah.
over a course of time,
Yeah.
that is the ultimate impressiveness for any fisherman.
Yeah. Well, I was looking up some stuff on you, and like and one picture was for your high school series tournaments. I mean, he's got these trophies that are like gigantic trophies just stacked up. You know what I mean? So it's consistency from a long period of time. I guess my point is that, and this is and the reason I'm kind of bringing this up, there's people on here that are just starting out in high school fishing, and there's people that are watching that are younger that are maybe just kind of thinking about it, and my point is that I just think that trail of starting in the high school gives you the basis, and it allows you to learn quickly the bass fishing.
For sure.
I mean, bass fishing is there's a lot to it than just straightforward facing sonar, going out there and looking around. You got to know where to look first, and you got to know a pattern. You got to understand pattern fishing, and that's why I kind of asked you that question in that way. And that's a great answer, because I was hoping you were going to say that it was building off of those and then adapting the technology, because honestly, all the people that are out there, the pros that are out there fishing, have to adapt to that technology, and they, whether they do or not, it's not how old you are, really. It's the fact that you got to adapt to it. So, but they have that standard, that basis of understanding bass fishing, and what bass do, and starting at that early level, and competition at the level, that level of competition that's out there to be offered at the high school level and on up through and into college. I think this is what we're seeing now with you. I think I think it's paying off. It's, the payoff is happening right now, where you're competitive. You're very competitive.
I appreciate that. Yeah, I think that high school and college, I think college especially, college fishing, I think is huge. Just because you're making that big step, to driving your own boat, you're going across the whole country and you're fishing these big lakes that a lot of these pro tournaments are going to go to, and a
Mhm.
lot of these open tournaments are going to go to. So being able to travel to those different places and have a buddy to fish with, if anything goes wrong on the road, and being able to, help work it out together and figure them out.
Yeah, I'm
I
glad you
think
said that, Tucker. I'm glad you said that because
Mhm.
in your college fishing, it used to be you joined a club
Mm-hmm.
and then you seen local little lakes or whatever was in your area.
Mm-hmm.
And when he said there, when you're in that college fishing, you're traveling, you're getting to see all kinds of different bodies of water. And that's awesome.
Yeah.
No, it's wild. I mean, we go all the way to New York, Texas, and that's the biggest thing, being able to go to those places and learn so much. Like every year you look back and you're like, I went to all these different lakes. I went to 20, 30, 35 different tournaments this year and learned so much over this year. And then, you've got next year, next year, next year to learn. So it's really helpful. And I think that's one of the biggest ways to learn is go into fishing college and being able to get experience, figuring out those bodies of water by yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. We have a local guy here who, is fishing right now in the college. I think he's a junior fishing college series right now. And the kid's everywhere. I mean, he's all over the place. His dad comes in. Hey, where's Bubba at, man? Well, Bubba's in Florida right now. And next time, hey, where's Bubba? He's over in Texas right now. And, I said, when the hell does Bubba go to school? I don't know, but he's getting good grades, so I don't ask.
Do you have a girlfriend doing it for him?
Yeah, right. See, that's coming out.
Now we know the tricks.
Now we know the tricks. Right on. So, did you graduate?
I'm done with college. Yes, sir.
Okay, good. Yeah. So coming up here, so you got nine events you got to fish on the opens. Give us like a rundown of what you think the next 8 are going to be. I mean, do you have anything you're looking forward to? You got stuff that you're excited about? What are you really fired up about?
I'm really looking forward to Logan Martin in May. That's my home lake. I was raised out there ever since I was super small. That's where I started fishing, was Logan Martin. So I'd say I'm really looking forward to that one. I'm especially looking forward to the smallmouth swing. St. Clair is going to be awesome.
Yeah.
I love smallmouth, and I'm trying to think. Hartwell. I've had some good history at Hartwell. So I'm looking forward to that one. That's the last event of the year. So hopefully we'll be sitting good by that event. But
Yeah,
really, I'm just looking forward to traveling around with my buddies and being able to fish these events and hopefully do well.
Is that what you're doing? Did you have a couple guys that you run with?
I travel with Paul Marks. He's one of my good friends.
Oh, good. Yeah.
Just me and him, and he's been doing good. Right, he's leading the open points right now.
Yep. Absolutely. Good for him. Well, good. You guys are on a tear on that. Top in the top 10 for so far. That's awesome.
Yes, sir.
So let's get back to some of this forward facing sonar stuff. So right now, like you, did you watch the elites today?
I did.
Yeah.
I
So
did.
a lot of those guys were, of course, forward facing. What kind of, and it's pre-spawn. What kind of baits do you guys really like to throw? I mean, I know a jerk bait's really good for, the shallower water pre-spawn fish. I mean, what other baits do you really like to throw? And what's your confidence baits for your forward facing sonar fishing?
It really depends on the time of year. Like when it's cold in the wintertime, you can't go wrong with a Demiki rig. That's something that I've got a lot of confidence in. Me and Picasso Lures actually came up with. I came up with my own signature series, Picasso Lures Speed Drop Head.
Oh,
and that's something that I throw a lot. I love a jerk bait. I love a swim bait. I'm trying to think of some other stuff that I really like to do. I like throwing a worm a lot. Nico rig. Really just about everything. But I'll say that I've gotten into a little bit of the glide bait stuff. But really, it just kind of depends on the time of year. As it's getting warmer now, they should be transitioning into that more jerk bait, shallower water scoping stuff, which I'm looking forward to. So it'll be fun this year.
yeah.
Hey, Tucker, with this forward facing, you've done it a lot and you're really good at it. Do you find that we had this conversation last week, so I want to know what you think. Do you find that the fish mostly feed up or not always, or what's your thoughts on that?
What species?
I knew that was coming. I knew that was coming.
Largemouth, smallmouth, spots.
I think they definitely look up for sure. A lot of the times, when you throw a bait in there and you watch them on forward facing sonar, those fish, especially in clear water lakes, those fish are going to be, looking up for food. And a lot of times when you throw your bait in there, they'll come straight up for it. But I think a lot of the times they're looking up, looking for bait to swim over the tops of their heads. But when they see something and come up and swoop at it, if they don't get it the first time, a lot of times in those clear lakes, they'll follow it all the way down to the bottom and then eat it. So initially, yeah, they're looking up for sure.
Yeah. So this time of year and going on your one of the questions that one of our guys is asking here is do you use perspective mode at all on it?
I'm just getting it rigged on my new boat for this year, so I'm going to be running it this next or actually this boat's going to be rigged this week, so I'll have it at the next event.
Oh, okay.
So I'm looking forward to that.
So you'll have what, 2 transducers on your on the front of that thing?
I'll have 360 forward facing and just regular, and then perspective.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So how many, you hear these guys running like 6 transducers, 5 transducers. I mean, are you doing any of that stuff, that crazy stuff?
I think I'm going to be running one on the back as well, so I'll probably have I'll have probably 5, but I think I'll have 3 Garmin transducers, and then but this is really the first year that I'm going to try that. I've always, from the past till now, I've only ran 1 transducer. And that's what I've just been comfortable with. Fishing the opens now, I really just wanted to have another backup just in case something were to happen and you're on a place and you're fishing, standing timber or somewhere where you need that unit. I just wanted to have a backup. So I don't know how much I'm going to use the perspective, but if something were to go wrong, I could just flip the transducer to the other graph and use that.
Well, that's important though, because at your level and you're trying to make the elites. I mean, you're right there. You got to have all the tools that you can get at your disposal. I mean, that's just the way it is.
Yep, that's right. I think that it's definitely gets expensive, and you can pay as much as you'd like to pay for that stuff. But I've done a lot of fishing with just 1 transducer, and it's really, really good. And you don't have to spend $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 just to get all these fancy transducers to compete. I've done it till now with just 1 forward-facing transducer. And that's the way that I've always been.
Now, and at the Florida tournament, when they were fishing the grass, you could see that even with forward facing, they were in thick grass, shallow water. I don't even know how they were doing it, but you could see like the guys were fishing a particular fish in the grass, and they said it was on a bed. Is that something that you've done before? Have you ever done that?
I have with like just regular forward mode. Really, like Scott Martin and those guys were using perspective a lot to see
That was the perspective. Okay.
Yeah, you could see the actual like reed clump, and then you could see the fish on the bed like moving around. So it was pretty wild.
That was crazy, man. I loved watching that. That was so cool.
It was pretty crazy.
I'm like, these fish don't have a chance, man.
So with those 2 transducers, are you talking about? Are they both going to be on your trolling motor? Or are you going to have one on one of those turrets, or how are you going to do it?
All on the trolling motor.
Okay.
No,
Yes, sir.
yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'll have that new Quest trolling motor, so it's got some upgraded lift assist and stuff. So it's going to be heavy, but I think that
Yeah.
new Quest should hold it pretty strong. So
I fished the very first Quest that was on the market. It wasn't even on the market. It was the prototype Quest down in Alabama.
really,
We went down there in last, I think it was May. I think it was. We went down to with St. Croix, actually. They had the rep group down there. The owner of the rep group has this big ranch down there in Alabama, and he invited us down to come fish his lakes. He has two big lakes on his property. And I was like, yeah, man, I'll come down there. You know what that is? That's just a catching trip. You know, those guys, you know, they stock like monsters in there, and you know, they just put like thousands and thousands of fish in there. So it's just, you just go down there and catch fish. So
that's fun.
So we went down there, and the guy, he says, okay, well, that truck and that boat, I want you and George, you guys have that. You just, you know, and the one lake's right over there behind the house, and the other one I'll take you to. And we're going to go to that one first today. And I was like, all right, cool. So we jumped in the truck and we get in the boat and launched the boat off. And as soon as George hit the button on that trolling motor, it was like, what in the hell is this thing? And the guy was laughing over there. You know, the guy that was in the boat next to us was just laughing away, man. He was like, yeah, I wondered how long it was going to take you guys to figure out that what's going on here. But it had that Quest on there, and it was absolutely amazing. The thing is like so quiet, and the power is off the charts. I mean, it's absolutely off the charts. So now the spot lock on that thing wasn't programmed properly and almost killed us 4 or 5 times on the
Almost threw you off the boat.
yeah. Maybe when I was your age, I was a little more agile, but yeah, George and I were hanging on to each other, you know, trying to keep balance. When that thing would kick on, it would do fine, and all of a sudden it would just 90-degree you, man, just for no reason at all.
I'll do it.
It was pretty awesome. So, but what a trolling motor! You're right. That thing is spectacular, and the lift assist on that. You're right. It's.
Well, they beefed it up.
Oh, they did. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. It's beefed up, right, Tucker?
It is. It's got better bushings, and it's got that lift assist. It's got a stronger bracket on it, so it's super strong.
Yeah, it is. I mean, you can just tell the whole thing. As soon as we hit the button, there was no creaking in the bracket. Everything was super solid and as quiet as all get out. And so that was pretty cool. And we ended up catching the shit out of fish down there, by the way.
I bet.
That was fun.
Yeah,
that was fun. But that boat had everything on it, Tucker. It had the brand new tracking, you know, Humminbird tracking, where it would didn't work that well, but you know, it was supposed to track. You could lock it on a fish, and it would track the fish wherever the fish would go, or whatever, you know, or it would track a piece of structure. Keep the transducer facing that stuff. So that worked. Yeah, it worked okay. It wasn't. I'm sure we didn't know what we were doing with it. And then it had like Solexes, like 16-inch Solexes on it. It had like 3 of those. This thing was crazy, man. Is that what Greg's running, the new one? That's
he's running, and I don't know what Tucker's running, but Greg's running the Apex.
Apexes. That's what it was on it. 16-inch Apexes.
Yep.
Like television sets up there. It's great, man. We had a great time.
What do you run, Tucker?
I've got 2 15-inch Solexes at the console, and then I've got a Garmin on the console as well, and then I've got a Solex on the front. And then another Garmin on the front, and then I'm going to add another Garmin so I can have both perspective and forward.
Right.
Oh, wow. That's going to be great.
So here's a question for you. When you pre-fish, you talked about at the Open, what do you get, 5 days?
It's 5 days. Yes,
so
sir.
how much fishing are you doing compared to just scoping out or whatever it is that you want to do?
It depends on the fishery. I do a lot of looking though. Some days it depends on, you know, time of year, if it's going to be like a ledge tournament or if it's going to be, you know, fishing shallow or like a dirtier water place. But a lot of times I'm looking. I've practiced a lot where I haven't even made a cast a full day, just looking for places that have fish. But yeah, I've done that a lot, just looking, and then throwing the troll motor down, scanning, side scanning, down scanning, just looking around.
So I'm guessing you have a nice radio on your boat to keep you occupied.
I got a stereo system.
There you go.
That helps, man. That definitely helps.
Oh, it does.
Yeah. So break down a typical day on a lake that you've never been to. A lot of us, we might have been to a lake before, maybe 5 years earlier, but like a new lake, how much, what would you do if you were just fun now? This is, not tournament fishing, just going out, trying to figure the lake out, give me a day one type of situation for you.
Where's the lake at?
Say it's a big lake, like, say you had a trip up the Lake Ontario and you were going to launch out of Clayton. You never been there. You got your mapping on your boat and you heard some things and a couple of things about Canada, and a couple of things about towards the lake. If it's calm, get out in the lake. What are you going to do? What are you going to do as a angler, never been there before, jumping on that lake?
If Canada was open, I'd go straight to Canada first.
Yeah.
No, but really,
yeah, but a lot of people think the St. Lawrence is a gimme. They see it on TV and they think it's, oh my God, I'm gonna go up here and catch a ton of 4 and 5 pound fish. And I've proven them wrong many, many times. It's not a gimme. I've gone up there and struggled. I've gone up there and had some great times, but the first day was always a struggle for me, to figure out what was going on. So that first day, yeah, maybe I think I would too. I would go over to Canada, but and this is in the summertime after June when it opens, so it's post spawn. They're not super deep yet, but they're going. They're heading there. So would you go over there and would you just start scanning a lot, or would you start fishing, or I mean, what would you
yeah,
do?
I would say if I had like one day of practice, I would spend at least half the day just idling around and running around and looking at high spots, looking at places with a lot of rocks, looking at flats, the edges of flats, and just like idling around using some forward facing, just looking around, looking for fish, looking for rocks, anything different. And then I'd probably use that next half of the day to actually fish some of those places that I found and see what quality is on them. Which sometimes you can see if you throw the trolling motor down, you can see, if a place has better average size, just by looking at the screen. But a lot of times, you got to catch one or two just to see what the average size is. But I'd say at least spend half the time just looking around, finding as many places as you can, and trying to find stuff that they're related to, and then use that second half to actually break it down and see if you can catch those fish and off those places.
That's hard to do, man, for a lot of us guys.
I think it's so impressive because, a lot of the younger anglers are doing this. And when you really think about it, you got to have so much patience to be able to do that.
That's what I'm saying. I love this fish, man. I love just fishing. So I go and I see it on my map. I see a hump. I run out to the first freaking hump I come to, and I start fishing.
Fish it for 2 hours.
I fish it for 2 hours. I do. I'll fish it I'll go all around that thing. Maybe there's one close by. I'll go. That's just so stupid.
So in a whole day, he covered 2 humps.
A whole day I covered like a quarter mile. Then the second day I go out and I just fumble around, try something different. I go to a whole nother area. No, I'm serious. I'm not that bad. I'm just kind of giving that for us, our listeners, how to break down their water when they go on vacation. We only got a couple days, we got, 4 or 5 days for vacation. Some of us can only go up for a long weekend. So we got Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and we're coming home Sunday night. So, it takes patience to go up there and drive around, like you said,
But what's so cool about it though, Mike, is, back when you didn't have all this technology, a lot of people weren't doing this, but I always thought it was the way to go. You would drive the lake and see what cover and what structure was available to you.
Yeah.
So it really wasn't that much different, but now they can just see everything and really break that down. It's pretty cool.
Well, I have side imaging on my boat. I got down imaging on my boat. I got forward facing on my boat, and I got 360 on my boat. And you're right. And the tools now make it a lot easier just to go with side imaging and look for some stuff, and then kind of mark it as you go. And we even use our boat for some reason, Tucker. We can go like I have a graph, an old Lowrance graph in the middle of our console. That thing holds the bottom at like. It's a 2D now, okay? I can pick grass up at 35 miles an hour.
That in-hole transducer?
In-haul. That thing's the greatest thing in the world, man. You just can just get up on plane and go. and you'll be going along, it's reading the bottom, and it'll show grass.
Yeah.
It'll freaking show grass at 35, 40 miles an hour. It's amazing.
That's what I
So
do a lot, especially smallmouth. I'll run an in-hole transducer and look for any hump or any rock, and if you see something jump, I mark it, swing back around, and look and see if there's fish on it.
yeah, yeah. So I mean, that helps us a lot, you know, with what we do. But I like that. I like that idea of just taking like the first part of the day and just spend it doing that, using your technology. Everybody has side imaging, and you know, the big problem I have is, you know, it's there's all this technology out there, and everybody thinks that they have to have it. And you know, at your level, yeah, you got to have everything. You got to have the whole entire thing. But you can get away with side imaging, down imaging, and 2D. And even if you spent the money and got a 360, that 360 is amazing. How do you feel about 360?
I love it. I love my 360.
Yeah.
I use it especially like up north, looking at rock piles. I use it a lot ledge fishing to actually like see the fish moving around. And then I also use it for fishing grass clumps, holes in the grass. I used it for really the biggest thing for me that I like about it is I can see my waypoints on it, and I can see like exactly where my waypoints are in comparison to the boat. Instead of you just having an icon of your boat and a waypoint in front of it over here and over here, it actually shows you what's on the bottom and where your waypoint is on the bottom so that you can see like actually what you're looking at. It's really cool.
Yeah, that's a great point.
What setting's that?
You got to have it set up for that. You got to have that other puck on there, the GPS puck, that'll let you your waypoints show up.
I don't have that,
360.
Tucker. I don't have that, bro.
Yeah,
I don't have that. Nobody told me about this. I don't have a Solix.
You have a Helix?
I have a Helix.
It doesn't work on the Helix as it works on Solix and Apex, but if you get one of those, then you can actually see your waypoints like on the 360 screen.
Yeah,
Wow.
That's awesome.
That is cool. I never
It's
knew that.
cool.
I never knew that. See, there's another thing.
There's another
See, I got to throw it now. See, you just made me know that now I have to get rid of my Helix and spend another $3,000 on a graph. I mean, I just said I didn't want to spend a lot of money. No, you don't have to do that.
So Tucker, with you know the technology, and I know you grew up with it and all that stuff, but before it, what was some of your favorite techniques?
Yeah, I grew up like fishing shallow on the Coosa River. I grew up on Lay Lake, Logan Martin. Love to throw a chatterbait, love to crank. I love to swim a jig, flip. That's what I grew up doing is flipping and swimming. And that's what we did around the house before all the technology came out. You know, you'd fish the bank and swim a jig and grass and flip grass and fish boat docks and fish rock and crank and throw a jerk bait. A little bit of timber, but really it's just that was kind of before the forward facing stuff. I fished a lot more grass, and that was something that I was pretty decent at. But I'd like to go back and do that again. Go fish grass. I'm looking forward to the spring, and hopefully then get a lot of fish in that grass, so I can go out there and catch some doing it. It's fun.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Are you afraid you're going to lose some of your edge on the shallow water cover fishing because of forward facing, because you do it so much?
I would say more of I'm all right at casting still to that cover. I would say more of pulling up to a bank and knowing that, hey, there's going to be a fish on this bank. You know, I feel like when you're constantly fishing the bank, you just kind of have that instinct like there's a fish right there. I
Yeah.
feel like that instinct is not as keen as it was, but you know, I still fish the banks, and I still, you know, you can see, you know, channel swing stuff that really sets up like it should be a good bank, and you know, you can still see that. But I definitely say without the forward facing, if you're just strictly fishing the bank, you have kind of like that key instinct of there's going to be a fish on this bank.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I was always, that was one of the concerns that a lot of guys had was, you know, these guys are going to get out there, they're going to catch all these fish, and then those fish are going to get smart like the shallow water fish did, and then they're going to have to go back in to some of the cover, and they just don't have that instinct like they originally had. And and I know there was a lot of guys worried about, well, not worried about, but that was some of the conversation was on that.
I think that those fish out deep are fish that are going to eventually pull up shallow and feed. I think that some fish feed shallower than others, and I think that a lot of those fish that you're seeing swimming out there and you're catching are fish that would pull up and actually eat shallow. So I think that's why the bank fishing's not getting any better as well, because people are catching those fish off the bank that would go up and get on the bank to feed.
Yeah, you're catching them before they even get there.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good point.
Well, I mean, look at John Cox, and that guy, he doesn't even have forward facing on his boat.
Right.
He just got it this year.
Yeah, I know, but did he have it on for this tournament?
I don't know, but he did have. Did he have 20 pounds today?
Yeah, he had 20 pounds today.
Yeah,
but I don't think he had it on his boat for this tournament, Tucker. I don't think so. I think there was two boats out of the whole entire field that didn't have it, and I think his was one of them.
He's the best shallow water angler in the world for sure.
He is, for sure.
Yeah,
for sure. And I'm really curious to see, because it's going to happen. If he's going to win one, it's going to happen here, in this first couple of tournaments.
Yeah, because it's going to get tougher for him.
Yeah, because it'll start getting
with the
tougher.
Shallow water.
Well, yeah. I don't know. I don't know about what different bodies of water they go to, how good the shallow water bite is all the time. But I would say that your first part of the year would be the best chances of him winning one. Wouldn't you say so?
Yeah, I would say so. And then especially the spawn, whenever March and April roll around and they start going to some of those places, I think he could be deadly for sure, fishing for spawning fish.
Love to see him win one. Love to see him win
he
one.
will.
Yeah.
He will. There's no doubt. Hey, Tucker, so what is the deepest that you've caught a bass with your forward facing?
I would say, I think it was actually on the St. Lawrence River, and I think it was 75 foot.
There you go, Mike.
I caught one in 74-foot water up there one time, but it was before forward facing, and I think we found him on I guess it was side imaging. We found him on in a little trough, throwing up in 55 and letting it go down into 70. I think it was like 75, 80 foot of water, and they would hit on the way down. Now, none of them were like 5-pounders, but they were fun as hell, and we caught a lot of them. The only problem was when you got them up, man, you had to take them off right away and then shove them down in the water like as far as you could, and then push them down, and then you'd see them swim down. The big ones, we had a fizz. The big ones, no matter what you did, you had to fizz them right away.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
But we sat there for like 2 hours and caught fish. It was fun.
Dang.
Yeah. Threw up in 55, and just like trout fishing, you threw up there in 55 foot of water and just trout fished a little hasdong, mega bass hasdong, 74 feet of water.
That's impressive.
Yeah.
You were catching them depot in that higher Lake of the Woods, or Lake of the Woods, or is that where you won the $1 million one at?
Table Rock.
Oh, Taylor, wasn't that deep? Wasn't that deep water?
It was over deep water, but the fish weren't super deep. They were in like, I would say 20 to 35 foot.
Yeah. Now, I want to ask you this again, because you said something, and I've been talking about it ever since. The last time I had you on here, you and Logan, you said that in that tournament, sometimes you wouldn't cast to a bass because you knew it was either a spotted bass or a smallmouth, one or the other. Maybe it was smallmouth. Are you able to tell like what kind of fish it is on a forward facing sonar?
You can tell by their swimming behaviors for sure.
Yeah.
We're behind, Mike.
I'm telling you, he told me that. He told me,
impressive.
What was that, 2 years ago? We had him on a year and a half ago or whatever it was. He told me that, and I've been thinking about that. I talk about it all the time in here, Tucker.
That's cool.
In the shop. I'm like, this kid's telling me that, that they wouldn't throw to a certain fish because they knew it was a smallmouth, and they didn't want smallmouth. They wanted the big spots or something like that. It was like they were catching they were looking for big spots. I was like, damn, that's cool.
That is cool.
It's weird, like the smallmouth at Table Rock and Bull Shoals will swim like in a line. Like they swim like vertical, like in a line, but they swim like super fast in a line. And then the spots will get like more like grouped up, like kind of like more in a circle. And then the largemouth will kind of look like more like spots, but they just seems like they don't swim as fast as the spots.
Oh, okay.
That's good information.
What would you rather catch, smallmouth, spots, or largemouth?
Ooh. Man, I like all three species. I don't know. It depends.
I mean, I knew
I'd
at the
say
beginning of the show you said you're looking forward to the northern swing, but
I love smallmouth. I think they're the prettiest for sure. I don't know. I like largemouth probably the best just because they get the biggest.
mhm. Yeah, spot are fun to catch. They're aggressive.
Oh, I grew up fishing spots too. It's too hard to pick. I love going to
Yeah.
Lanier, Hartwell, and the Coosa River. It's
Which,
hard to pick
whichever
that.
one gives you the most weight.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. Well, that's funny. The difference talking to me and to me and Nick, you know, we're more well, we tournament fish, but we're more casual anglers, you know, for the experience and the fun and the that kind of stuff anymore. It's funny how you think and how we think, you know, it's just constantly a different thought process.
And it's impressive, you know. So that leads me to a question. So now that you fished your first 2 opens of the year, right? That's what it was.
Yes, sir.
What do you do now up until your next one? You know, you're going to keep fishing? You're just taking some time off?
I'm working on getting that newer boat rigged right now, but fishing every now and then, getting that boat rigged, and then just doing research. I've been, trying to do a lot of research on Santee Cooper and look at a lot of YouTube videos and try to do as much homework as I can before I show up to the lake.
What's your predictions on Santee, if you want to say?
I'm not sure. I've been watching the Bass Pro Tour live. I watched it today, or I'm gonna watch it tomorrow. It wasn't live today, but I was watching the score tracker, and I don't know. It looks tough. It looks like there's a lot of big ones, obviously, in that lake, but it doesn't seem like you catch a ton of fish. It seems like you catch, fewer fish, but they're better quality.
Yeah, we do a little section on here called Tournament Talk, and I did some research on that tournament, and they interviewed Wheeler about his day one because he had 50 pounds for day one, and his best 5 would have been 29 and change. So he was catching some nice fish, but he said that they were all pre-spawn fish. So, you know, and he's fishing he didn't go into details, but a particular type of fishing, and he said that they're still going to be moving. So
Yeah,
that's where they were on it. So that was pretty cool.
that's
That
cool.
you know how they were breaking all that stuff down. But so are you excited about that tournament? Is that
I am excited.
Yeah.
I am excited. I'm
Have you-
excited for the whole year. I'm really excited for Logan Martin being able to sleep at my own house with that one.
Yeah. Oh, man, I know. I'll be watching for sure.
Cool.
Well, good, buddy. I don't want to hold you up anymore. I know you got some research to do, and you got to go out and work on your boat and everything. So I don't want to keep you, but I just want to say, listen, you're very, very impressive to me. Not only with your fishing and your talent on the water, but yourself off the water. You hold yourself really well. And there's a lot of people, believe it or not. I mean, you know, you probably know this, but there's a lot of people, a lot of young fishermen that are going through this, just getting into the high school side of things that I see in here, and a lot of kids that we get that don't even know about that we try to push into get involved with, even before high school, just some kind of youth club of some sort, and then get them going in that, and then jumping into a high school program. I just want to let you know that you're a great, fantastic role model for those kids.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
I mean, all
means
you
a lot.
guys. I mean, all you guys. Logan, your ethics, everything you guys, the way you handle yourself, all your ethics,
it's impressive.
on and off the water is just very, very impressive. But I just wanted you to know that. And
Thank you.
we've been following you guys ever since, of course, the $1 Million win. I mean, I'm going to say that again, but we've been following you and just constantly impressed. I can't tell you how much I want you to make the Elite Series.
Absolutely.
I am rooting
Let's
so
go.
hard. I'm telling you, dude, I just feel like you're going to do it this year. You're just doing it right. So I hope I'm praying for you. The
Thank
boys
you,
are
man.
all the boys here love you, and
Yep.
and we are cheering you on. So for every tournament, just know you got friends behind you here in Pennsylvania, cheering you on. And I hope it all turns out. And I hope at that last tournament of the year, we're talking about some Angler of the Year stuff, and you're fighting for a win on the Angler of the Year. So that would be super cool.
Yeah, and then we'll have you back on here talking about that.
Well, yeah, for sure.
That would be awesome. Yeah, I really appreciate it. That means a lot. Thank you so much.
Anybody you want to thank, Tucker, your sponsors, let us know about who's, or what you got going on, anything special, let us know here.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be able to do this year without all the sponsors that are supporting me. My family's been really supportive. My girlfriend's been super supportive. I mean, everybody that, lets me go fish almost every day of the year. And it's still nice to me. I really appreciate all of them. But yeah,
Right
really
on.
the sponsors have been awesome, and I'm looking forward to this year. I'm gonna run that Nitro Mercury all over the country this year, and see if we can catch a few bass.
Right on, buddy. Well, great job on your start of the season, and thank you so much for stopping in. And we will hopefully have you on again real soon and talk again. So good luck to you. Thanks, Tucker, for taking the time out of your schedule.
Yep, good luck.
And we'll see you around, brother.
Thank you. I appreciate y'all having me. I had a good time.
Right on, bro. I'll see you.
Y'all have a good one. See ya.
Thank you. All right, there you have it.
How cool is that, Mike?
Tucker Smith. I just so impressed with those guys. And this is the second time he was on. The first time we had him and Logan on, and Logan's well-spoken, just a super grounded type of individual, had a vision, had a dream, had a purpose.
Yep.
And Tucker's the same way. He has the same dream, he has the same drive, and he knows where he's going. And I have no doubt that.
Let me tell you a little story too. So they were here the first time.
Yeah.
And they were great, but a lot of people are great when they have to be.
Yeah.
And then next thing you know, I go down to the upper Chesapeake. They were having an open down there, and I ran into all these guys, and they were the same right then that they were here.
Yeah.
They just, that's who they are.
Yeah.
And that's awesome.
Yeah. Well, same with Cooper Gallant.
Yep,
he was kind of running with those guys too. And first of all, how cool is that?
And what I think is cool too is they want each other to do well.
Yeah, they do. They really do.
Yep.
And they follow each other, and they keep each other. But back when we had them, they were still fishing college. And here it is, college kids, with a boat and truck and boat and tow, just traveling. They stopped by here, Cooper Gallant, I think, and it was Tucker, and it was somebody else too.
Yeah, there
was a couple of them
with them at ICAST.
Yeah, there was a couple of them, and they were coming back from Thousand Islands, I think. Yep. It was a Thousand Islands tournament, and they were coming back from there. So somehow we worked it out that they would stop in and we would hang out and talk a little bit. Plus, they wanted to stop and see us. And how cool would that be, though? That 30 some tournament, you heard them, 34 tournaments a year in college.
Yeah.
Running around, chasing your dream, doing this thing. That is cool college right there, man. That's a college I want to go to.
I'm glad you said that because, as fishermen, we catch fish, but sometimes we don't. And then we have excuses.
Yeah.
Okay. And then now a lot of people are saying about college fishermen, the leg up that they really have on everybody is the experience now, because they're getting experience that you really can't do unless you're just traveling.
That's what I mean. Young and dumb and wide open.
Yep.
And just doing your thing. And how cool is that, man, to be able to do that through your college years and start it with your high schoolers? I mean, they're traveling now with the worlds and the nationals and the championship tournaments and you could fish high school tournaments right now from New York to Florida. Start down in Florida just like they do and fish all these different series and and try to qualify for the nationals and the championship tournaments so that you can get seen by a college.
Right.
You don't have to do it just in your region. You can go to fish all different regions and any of them associated with FLW and BASS.
Correct.
And that's what some of these guys are doing. Like I talked to a couple kids that were going down to South Carolina or something, fishing some big
They're
giant,
always on the go.
So that's really cool.
Well, here's the idea though, Mike. You remember that movie? It's a football movie. It's called Unnecessary Roughness.
Yeah.
Where they get the quarterback and he was old. Now he's going back to college.
Yeah.
Hey, go back to college. Go fishing, man.
I love it. Well, I'd like to be independently wealthy and just go on the road and fish
that would be cool.
Fish the Opens. Wouldn't that be cool?
That would be.
My wife's sick of me now, so she would just let me go. I mean,
is that why I smirked, and I know you did too, when he said thank you to everybody that still likes me because
I was never there.
Yeah. That's cool.
Yeah, his girlfriend's being cool about it.
That's right.
Yeah.
But he gave some really good tips that, sometimes when you talk to people that are professionals, and I think he's a professional.
Oh, absolutely.
And they give you tips that you don't even know. You got to listen to what they're saying. And when he's talking about when he goes pre-fishing and he's graphing, and then he'll go faster with the 2D because if he sees a hump, then he goes back and he checks it. You got to listen to these little details that these guys will tell you because there's details within the details.
Oh, yeah.
And that's what makes them different than everybody.
Yeah, if you break that down,
yep.
I go through, I drop some waypoints on some rocks, some edges,
yep,
some grass edges, some changes in the grass edges. I drop them, and then I go back and fish them.
And it's really all about proficiency because he's not just idling anywhere he goes and putting his side imaging out.
Mm-hmm.
He's trying to cover as much water as he possibly can. That's how you're proficient at what you do. And I think that's pretty cool.
Well, that was neat. He said, I was trying to cover flats. I was trying to cover points. I'm trying to cover creek channel swings. And then I scope all that stuff out, and then I come back and fish the second half of the day.
And that's what he's doing right now. So he was telling us that he's looking at YouTube. He's trying to get as much information about wherever he's going next. And I forget which place he said it was. What he's going to do then.
Oh, no, that's Santee's next.
Santee?
Yeah, Santee's
So
next.
he's going to figure out, okay, this is the cover. This is the structure I'm looking for. Now I'm going to try to cover as much water to find as many of those spots as I possibly can to be in the zone.
Yeah, I think that's some great information. And I tried to narrow him down on a forward-facing bait. That didn't work. He's all over the place on that, Depends on the body of the water. Depends on the type of fish. Depends on where, when.
He can tell if they swim like this. That's crazy.
So, Dominky rigging this time of year in the cold water, obviously that's the deal. And then when they move up shallower and towards the warmer stuff, you start seeing a lot more jerkbait stuff when they start feeding a little shallower, a little bit more up, then you go to that jerkbait a little bit. But he talked about everything. The only thing he didn't throw in there too much was glide baits. And you can tell he was learning that.
Yeah, he's still learning that.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah,
Very
good kid.
Good stuff.
Really, really good kid. That was kind of neat to talk with him, and I hope you guys enjoyed that and got something out of it. But we're going to keep this show moving, and we're going to jump into a section that we like to call Tackle Talk. So Nick and I are going to try to break this down the best we can.
Oh, we will.
Since Uncle George isn't here.
It's hard. Yeah. We got to do our best.
So we gotta like step it up a little bit, and we have to get ourselves in the mind frame and tunnel. I'm gonna tunnel George into my brain. I might not be right after this, Nick, because I'm gonna mind meld with him right now, and it might just screw me up forever. I don't know. I don't know what lives inside that head. There's something lives in there. I have no idea what it is, but I'm gonna mind meld with him, and I'm gonna get my George Acord technical knowledge system going. And I hope I come out of this alive. But anyway, George left me all of his notes. I got notes, things I was supposed to talk about, but I'm going to give you the spin on it like Mikey would. And the first thing we're going to talk about is a new product that came out a little bit ago. It was released on the market like a month and a half or 2 months ago. We didn't get any of them. Somehow our shipment was screwed up and we didn't get any of them. Plus, they had some packaging problems or whatever. So we just got ours like a couple of weeks ago. But anyway, and that is the Berkeley Power Bait Nessie. Now, this is a bait that, it's kind of familiar to a lot of people. It's a swim bait style, but this is a soft plastic hinged in the middle. And the tail is actually like a brush tail. It's actually like that. I don't know if you can see that. It's not against my black shirt, but you can see that tail there. Oh, hang on, Nick. I go this way. And it's got like a little brushy tail to it. That's similar that you see on some of these other baits, Nick. You know what I mean? And everybody says, okay, that's soft plastic. It's going to tear right up. No, this thing's not going to tear up. This has a mesh hinge and mesh that goes through the body here. And that's what's going to hold it together. It's a real tough plastic, but because that hinge, it gives it a lot of life, and the tail's thin and it gives it a lot of movement. So you can see it really swims. It'll really swim nice for you, but it's got a mesh going through the body so that it's not going to tear up. It's going to stay, put together for you real good. And you're going to be able to catch multiple fish on it. The other thing I noticed about this, Nick, is it has these little fins on the bottom.
Yes.
And these are stabilizer fins that keep the bait to swim, to make sure it swims nice and straight and it doesn't roll over on you right away.
That's important.
Yeah, and they're on there at a certain way, at a certain angle. So what's really cool about this bait is it comes in a 5, a 7, and a 9-inch. So this is the 5-inch right here. And this one is the 7-inch. Okay, so you can kind of see a size right there. This is a 7-inch, but still, I don't think it's real crazy. And then this is the 9-inch against the 7-inch. Okay. So
yeah, and that 7-inch is an ounce.
Yeah, the weights are the 5-inch is a 2. This one's a 2/5 of an ounce. Which is going to be just a great a great bait you can throw and control on a lighter action rod, no problem. A medium, heavy, action rod, 7 foot, 6.5, 6'10", medium heavy. This is something you can throw around docks, and you can throw this anywhere really, but you can throw this on a lighter rod for sure. Even like a mag medium, like a stiffer, faster taper medium. I think you could throw this all day long. 2/5 of an ounce. That's no biggie. And then the 7-inch is an ounce.
That's 1 ounce. Yep.
So the 7-inch is a 1 ouncer. So now this is going to take a little bit more of a rod. So you're talking about, a 7.4 heavy, that type of rod. Yep. Still not a full blown swim bait rod. You can still get away with it. But if you have a lighter swim bait rod, that'll be perfect for you. But like your frog rod would throw this very nice, Nick.
Right.
7.4 frog rod. Yep. I would say you can throw that on there. No problem. Absolutely. Now this is categorized. These are categorized as soft plastic glide baits. And then the 9-inch,
2 ounces. It
goes to 2 ounces. And that's where you're going to have to step up your game with your rod to handle throwing this thing. But again, it's jointed in the middle. It's a glide bait, so it's a soft plastic glide bait, like all your hard plastic ones out there that are being made. This is a soft plastic version of it, and the big thing about this, it's hinged in the middle, so you're going to get. You're going to get that nice kick on the tail and nice action. And it's not just a boot foot. It's not a boot foot style soft bait. This is a hinged bait. And it's put together in a way that it's going to give you real tantalizing action to it.
And it also has the hook clip too.
Yeah, that's another really key factor to that, Nick. is on the bottom, it has a little clip that harnesses the hook in it. So you're not going to keep sticking it in the, let me take it out of here. You're not sticking this into the plastic and tearing it at all. You're sliding it in a slot that's created there. You slide your hook down inside the slot, and then you just pinch it right in a little carrier. I don't know if you can see that, Nick, but there's a little carrier there, and you just snap it in that carrier. See that? So now it's held in that carrier, and when you get a bite, it snaps out real easy. But you're not going to cast it off. That's for sure. And then the nice thing about this is, you see all that distance there, Nick? That fish can fight and move, and this thing isn't going to be used as leverage. A lot of times when you're losing fish on treble hook baits, that's because you have a real close connection with one split ring. This is a whole swivel. It gets it away, and it doesn't allow the fish to get leverage as quick on this setup. So, you know, you can catch a big fish on this thing and not have to worry about them throwing that bait off really.
That's actually a big deal.
It's a huge deal.
You hear about that all the time, you know, people losing fish because of the leverage that the fish can have. That's a good point.
Yeah. Yeah. So we talked about the stabilizing fins. Yep. We talked about the hook clip. And we also want to talk about the fact that this is a slow sinking bait. So it's going to actually sink down nice and slow. Now, Nick and I, before we started the show, we thought, well, what if we wanted to try to get it deeper? Well, I think there's a lot of ways that you guys can come up with very easily to add some weight to this, because it is a soft plastic. You may be able to put something inside of it. You may be able to put some stuff on the hook, around the hook area, and weight it. So there's some things I think you could possibly do to make it a little heavier, to get a little faster fall if you want. But this is a slow sinker.
Yeah, you can experiment with it.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Yeah, I think you can.
Yep.
I think you can. So that is called the Power Bait Nessie, available in the 5, 7, and 9. The 5 inches, $7.99. The 7 inches, $9.99, and the 9 inches, $12.99. Okay. Yeah, it's a great design, Sam. Yeah, flat. What's he saying?
What's this? Which one?
Looks like a great design. Sam. Got to say that again, Sam. I don't understand what you mean.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
When's a good time for Blue Marsh? Right now.
Yep, they're catching them.
Giant smallies right now.
Yep. And stripers.
Yep. Okay, so that's the Nessie. And then a bait that's similar to the Nessie, and it's not a new one, but it's something that George and I have had in the shop ever since they came out. But they did come out with a newer size last year, and that's from Jackal, and it's called the Bounty Fish. It's a Bounty Fish 140. It's a little bit smaller than the original one. The original one was a little bit bigger in size, but this is the first time I saw this actual mesh joint in this bait. And it actually has, you can see the mesh. Yeah, right there, Nick. You can see that mesh there. This has, the tail that really goes. So I think this was the first time I saw this several years ago on the big model. Now they came out with this little bit smaller model. And this one doesn't have a hook, so you would rig this up with an offset 5.0 wide gap hook, or a weighted hook, big belly weighted hook. You could do that. But what this was designed to do, and another thing about this is the ribs are faced kind of forward a little bit, so it's going to displace a lot of water. When they first came out, the guys were using them for rigging them weedless, Nick, on a worm hook and fishing them in heavy grass cover, bringing it through, snaking it through the grass, and had some really great success with that. Still to this day, we sell out of that big one. Every time we get certain colors in, people buy 7-8 packs, and a lot of it goes down south, and they fish it on the heavy grass down there with a big single 6.0, 7.0, and those a big 7.0 hook. But lily pads, I've heard guys have great success with this in lily pads, and you can see it's like a swim bait style with that tail, nice kick in the tail. I gotta admit, I never fished it, but these we sell a lot of them. We sell an awful lot of them, and like I said in that big one, every time we get certain colors, and they sell out instantaneously. But it is jackal, so you always run out of it. But so this is the jackal bounty fish. It's you can make it so it's a weedless version swim bait, so you can go through that grass. That's one thing George wanted me to say. It's also like a fluke presentation, so you can fish it's like kind of like a fluke presentation also. And like I said, I would rig this particular one with a 4.0 or a 5.0 extra wide gap hook for this particular one right here, and or a belly weighted version of a wide gap hook.
I'm going to give a tip. Probably not supposed to, but you might want to throw this at a local tidal river. Just might want to.
Not saying anything, but
not saying anything.
Just something you might want to
think about.
What do they say on TikTok and stuff all the time? It's not financial advice. This is not, but you might want to.
Well, yeah, you got it. Like you said, everything you said about it, it's different.
Yeah.
And when everybody else is throwing the same thing, different is all right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So comes in a bunch of colors. It's available, whites, blacks. I think there's a couple different shad, smelt kind of colors over there. But so really, really cool bait. And it's like I said, it's nothing new, but it's kind of associated by association. We wanted to show this to the mesh design that's in the Nessie to give you that something that's going to last you more than one fish. These are going to last you multiple fish. Going to have them for a long time before they tear out, if they ever will. I don't know. We're kind of all learning about it all at the same time. So, and another swim bait style bait that we wanted to talk about tonight is this is the Megabass Switch. So this is a pretty cool jointed, again, staying with the theme here. Not new, but newer. This is a jointed swim bait called the Megabass Switch. I think it has a number to it too, maybe. No, just a switch. And but what's cool about this is not only does it have 3 segments, 1, 2, 3 there, which gives you that nice swim in action. This also has, this is considered a 6-stage. You can fish this six different ways, I think George said. 4 different ways. It's a 4-stage kind of bait. Okay. And by that, we mean that you can see this lip. This is a wake bait at the way it is right here. And when you fish it, you can steady reel it as just a steady waker. Okay. Which would swim nice coming through the water, huh, Nick?
That's killer.
Yeah. Or you can twitch it and you can really get the side to side kind of glide bait action out of this thing, twitching it as a wake bait. So it's way up to the surface, wake, straight reel gives you that nice swim, or you can twitch it and get that nice side to side walking action out of it. But the other thing this thing does, which is cool, is it has an adjustable lip. You can click it up, and now the lip is in a upward stance, and it's going to grab water and pull the bait down. And now you have a diver that you can get down and swim straight in as a diver with the joints, or walk the bait under the water, a foot or so or 2 foot underneath the water with this lip right here in a downward position. So you got a top water waking bait at the top, fish 2 different ways, and you have a on the down lip, and then that's as you're waking, and then on the up lip setting, you got a diver that you can walk and you can swim. And I just think that is some super technology.
Well, it gives you options.
Does give you options.
And that's nice. But I'll tell you what, when you had it at the wake setting, I don't know, if you're listening, watching, if you're not familiar with wake baits, you really need to get familiar, because a lot of people don't know about it or throw them.
Yeah.
But they catch big fish.
Yeah. I mean, what's your favorite wake baits? Like if you were just, I'm not saying swim baits, but I'm just saying, What's your favorite wake baits that you like to fish?
One, I don't know if you would consider it a wake bait, but I always like the one, maybe 1-.
Yeah, that's a
Yeah.
a superb one of the original wake baits.
And then, you know, I like that one. And then there was another one that you guys always had.
Well, you have a ton of them. Now you have the wakers from the Strike King 1.5 waker, a 2.5 waker.
Yep.
You have
the Shimano.
Yeah, the Shimano Macbeth.
Yep.
Macbeth wake. So there's a lot of wake baits out there, but you're right, Nick. The original one was the Man's Baby 1-.
Yep.
And then they came out with the 1-, which was a great big giant body. And then I think even between there was a mid size. I think even honestly mid one. I think. Yep. I'm not sure.
Yep.
But I think you said something there that a lot of people don't know what a wake bait does.
Right.
A wake bait does catch big fish.
It does.
It's a big fish catching bait. And another nice thing about a wake bait is you can cover a lot of water.
Well, that's what I was going to say. You know, where was a wake bait big? A lot of people think Potomac. You always thought of that, right?
Yeah.
Well, the thing is, you could cover certain cover
yeah.
faster than you could with any other bait.
Yeah.
And that's why.
Absolutely.
You were triggering big bites.
It's a great bait to find, but once they got on that wake bait. Now, the thing about a wake bait, guys, is it doesn't always work. It's not a bait that you're always going to catch fish on. So you got to know when it is going to work, and that's going to be a certain time of year, or a certain type of structure you get into, or a certain type of bait you get around. Then you might be catching them on top water, and you're seeing stuff, a lot of action on the surface. Then you might want to throw a wake bait. But even if you don't have like surface activity, but the fish are shallow and there's bait around, that trees, grass, all that kind of stuff, you want to throw that pretty regular. I remember George and I had a rod in the bottom of our rod locker, and it was a glass rod, and it always had a baby 1- tied on. Always. Never ever came off.
So what was your idea of using the glass rod with the baby 1-?
Well, back then that was like our deal.
That was
that was like our, and I almost want to say that it had braid on it.
That's cool.
Yeah, I want to say that it was a glass rod, and it threw those baits really well, Nick. And it had the braid, so when we were around cover, we could rip them right out of that stuff, no problem.
Yeah.
And we messed around with them. We caught a lot of fish on that.
Oh,
a lot of fish on that.
That was the deal for a long time.
But we always had it ready, because whenever that feeling strikes you, remember how we talk about gut fishing all the time, fishing from your gut. Whenever we had those moments strike you, we would bust out that rod, and we would throw it no matter what.
Well, I challenge people, let's say you want to throw top water and the fish just are not eating the top water. A lot of times the wake bait will catch fish that top water will not. And you're like, well, it doesn't even make sense, because it fires them up.
Yeah, really does. So the Suich is available $39.99, which isn't horrible for a Megabass quality bait that does two different things.
Yeah, you got two different.
And I'm really excited about the wake bait part of that thing.
Yep.
But that's been around for a while. We had it for a year or so, but it was just that along with the jointed baits and that kind of thing, we thought it kind of went together with those products. And then because of the moving lip, we wanted to talk about another moving lip bait from Megabass. And I don't know if you guys know about this one. This is the Vision 110 FX. And the FX, get it out of here. Of course, it's a 110 body. The ultimate 110 body right there. But the FX has a movable. Right there. Let's see. Has a movable lip. See it? Now it doesn't move and fix like the Suich does, but this is a movable lip. Now a lot of people say, well, what would you want that for? Well, first of all, let's get one thing straight. This is the greatest body style that for jerk baits that was probably ever made right here. This 110 Vision 110. And then you're going to get the great colors from Megabass. So you're getting the great colors. And then now you're going to get a jerk bait with a adjustable lip. Now this adjustable lip does a couple things. On the initial cast, when you cast, the bait will flip over and the lip will get flat. And now, as good as Mega Bass transfer system, weight transfer system is for distance, now you got even more distance because the lip isn't hanging down to take away and steer this bait and slow it down. It's more streamlined, and you get those ultimate long distance bullet casts because of the lip straightening down. But the other thing is when you start working it, it folds down and you get a really erratic action coming back to you. It's not just that same little jerk bait action that you get with the 110. Now you're going to get really erratic, a much more erratic, because this lip can cut and catch the water and do things much differently than, of course, the fixed lip does. So it's the FX 110 jerk bait with a collapsible lip, the movable lip that gives you the great casting and a totally different action in the water. And a lot of guys, didn't know about it. They don't know about this bait. This is kind of a sleeper bait, and a lot more action than the original 110, and more erratic action is what that bait's all around about.
I like it.
Did you ever know about that one, Nick?
I did not know about that.
Yeah, I know. A lot of people don't. It's kind of stuffed down in the bottom corner, kind of out of the way. And you see it as a 110, and then you don't really read it where it says 110 FX. And then you see the colors and you're like, yeah, that's a color that I like in a 110. But you don't see what this thing's all about. So Vision 110 FX.
Well, I'm all about jerk bait, so I got to try that.
Very erratic, Nick, and different. It's not like you got to have a full box of these, but it's good to have one or two if you're looking for that little extra. Well, you know that I'm a jerk bait junkie.
Oh, I know.
So when I was in Japan, they had these over there. And I was in Japan many years ago now. And when I walked into the tackle shops, they had these over there. So I had grabbed some of these. So I have like 4 or 5 of these in my box, and I've had them for years, and I've thrown them. But and then they brought them over to the United States last year, I think it was, and we were able to snag a couple of them up and put in there. Maybe 2 years now. It might have been 2 years. But it's limited.
Well, what I like about it is, I never tried one, and I'd like to, because if they thought it was great over there, there's a pretty good chance that it is, because it's hard fishing over there.
At Japan?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Did you ever see one of the magazines of those guys fishing a tournament over there? So, their tournaments might have 3,000 people in it.
That's crazy.
Yeah. And the lakes are little. And, I've seen, magazines that I've gotten sent over from some of the guys. They sent me some magazines. Plus I grabbed a bunch of magazines when I was over there. I've probably bought like 40 magazines. I bought 40 magazines home because I knew my brother would just think they were cool as hell. And, when it got to like tournament sections, just like Bassmasters, you get to a thing and they would be circling like a hump in the middle of the lake.
Right.
There'd be a total circle of boats just right around that hump, and literally a foot apart.
And just trying to make them bite.
And you were trying to make them bite. So, the pressure is ridiculous over there.
And it's funny you're talking about pressure, that tournament that's going on today in the elites.
Yeah. And
the interesting thing about these tournaments with the live sonar that we were talking about with Tucker is that, a lot of the guys know where the main guys are catching these fish because they're not far apart.
Yeah.
So as you get into day 2, as you get into day 3, those fish have been pressured big time. Mm-hmm. And I think it's cool how you're seeing these different techniques are making fish bite when other techniques that we might have always used won't work. Yeah. And I think, baits like this I think about that.
Yeah. It's a different erratic action.
Yep.
And one of the things that Tucker said, which is, I've been hearing this, is if you can't get him to bite above you, then if you can allow your bait to fall and drop and hit the bottom and they follow it down, a lot of times they'll eat it off the bottom.
Right.
If you miss them at the, if they come up and try to hit your bait and miss it, then it sounds like you should stop and let your bait fall down to the bottom, and usually those fish will follow it down, and they'll always eat it off the bottom. So
It's
that's where these freaking rigs, man. That's where the Nico rig. That's where the Nico rig came into play at a couple of these tournaments already, these events, because they're letting it fall all the way down to the bottom. But the other thing he said that he worked on was the heavy drop, the fast drop jig head from Picasso.
Yeah.
So that's his signature bait. I don't think it's out yet. I think it's coming. And that's a bait. That's a jig head that falls real quick, gets it down real fast. Probably a heavy weight with a smaller size hook to handle the baits, but it'll fall down real quick and get down to the bottom or trigger that strike on the fall. So it's some different stuff that those guys are thinking about. Yeah.
I'll tell you the thing I seen last year that was the craziest thing that I would have never known without forward facing. So I'm up in New York and I see a fish. I'm fishing about 40 feet of water. And I see a fish that I think is a bass. Now, I didn't know by the way it was swimming, like Tucker was telling us. I'm just making a educated guess that it's a bass. And I threw out there, and this fish is hovering around 20 feet of water. My bait got down about 4 feet, 5 feet, and that fish was already coming up for that bait. And that was amazing to me because it showed me how good these fish can see.
Yeah.
And that without that technology, I would have never known that.
I think without that technology, or with that technology now, we're seeing a lot of stuff we never knew that bass would do. It is incredible. I got one other thing, Nick. I got to grab it real quick. Hold on.
Well, with that technology, what we're also seeing is fish are there 1 minute and they're gone the next. And I think you're seeing that with some of the pros that were at the elites today in their areas. Their areas just practice, they're there, tournament, they're gone. And the thing is, tomorrow they could be back.
Yeah.
Yep. What do you got, Mike?
Well, last thing on the tackle talk agenda is a fishing rod. And this is from Cashin, and does have kind of like what their Cashin's all about with the signature handle, that like graphite woven style handle. Has a really great grip to it. This is the Icon series of rods. And the other thing I want you to look at right above my finger here, Nick. See that? See that, Nick? That's an American flag, Nick. That's also made in America. So this whole Cashin rod line, the Icon rod line, is made in America. I think they're from like North Carolina, like Charlotte area, North Carolina, right down in that area. And great guys, great product. They were like the first. No, they weren't the first, but after Carrot Stick, first came out with the micro, and then Duckett kind of got involved with that and came out with all those micro guides. This was like the other company that did everything micro guide. So they're still rocking the micro guides. I don't think they're as micro as they were. I think they're just a little fuzz hair bigger. So the guys that hate micro guides, you're going to like these a little better because they're not those super itty bitty things. These have come a long way. They're much more durable, and they are a little bigger. So for all the micro guide haters, which I know there's a lot of them out there, this isn't quite that. But I don't know. This is a 6 foot. This is a 6 foot 10-inch rod, and it has, a ton of guides on it. But this is a very sought after rod, Nick. I don't know what's going on with this thing, but this is the sought after BFS series.
Yep.
This is the BFS model that Cashin came out with, and it has hit a home run with the
bait finesse system.
Yep. This hit a home run with a lot of people out there, and a lot of people been asking us for this rod for a while, and we finally got it in. We finally got it in stock and up on the website ready to go. But this is the BFS version in the Cashin Icon series. And BFS, Nick, you did say it. It stands for Bait Finesse System, and it has that very light but powerful bait finesse action. This is totally different from a Shimano BFS. It's totally different from a Mega Bass BFS. The action is different. It's just a little bit more moderate, but yet it's not a full moderate. It's just a little bit more moderate, and it's going to load up real nice to be able to throw all those smaller baits. And I think that's why everybody's really jumping on this. Is just because it is a little bit more moderate than the other rods that
and it's very light.
Very light. Yeah.
Yep.
Great graphite. This is rated 4 to 10 pound tests, 8th to 7/16, 16th, made in America. The BFS rod has a really cool icon logo down here, and right underneath it, it does say bait finesse system. So you can put your Corrado BFS reel on there, your Aldebaran BFS reel on there, or 70, any 70 style Daiwa would go great on here, like a little 70 style reel, the Tatula 70 or anything like that. So that would go great on these rods, and it would throw the 8-pound test, man, like nobody's business.
Now, Mike, with all the other icons, are they all specific?
Yeah. So what Cashin does, Nick, and they do it really well, is they do label their rods up for technique specific. And yeah, I never liked that because I felt like, well, you're calling it a worm rod, but I call it a spinnerbait rod.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it does give guys an idea. It does give guys the ability to set them, to have all the different rods.
Yep.
And the thing that I like that Cashin does is their actions are right. So when it does say a crankbait rod, it's the right crankbait action. When it does say, a worm rod, he gives you, 2 or 3 different powers in worm fishing. They'll call it a worm, a mag worm, or whatever. But they do get pretty specific with their rods. But that just shows how much they work with the pros on their team. And one of them is our boy from Missile.
Who's that?
Our boy from Missile.
Oh, you're talking. Why am I forgetting his name right now? Yeah, John Cruz.
Johnny Cruz,
Yeah.
of course. So John Cruz is a big. Now he has his own rod line.
Yes,
he has his own rod line, but he is instrumental in a lot of different actions. So there's a guy who's super anal about his rods, super anal about his actions, and they work very close with the pros, and they work together to get the right actions with the right weights and for the right technique.
I'm glad you actually said that, because I was talking to John Cruz at iCast, and we were talking about baits, of course, missile baits.
Oh yeah.
And I can only imagine how he is with the rods, because he is very particular with what he'll put out there.
He's particular with all this stuff.
Yeah.
He just doesn't jump on a bandwagon.
No, he doesn't have to.
You look at his sponsors, and he's been with a lot of these sponsors a very long time, and it just shows that when he got with Cashin, he said, "This is what I want," and you don't make it
right.
So let's make it. And they made a rod line for him. Now it trickled down. His rods are more expensive, but it's trickled down into this Icon series. All those actions are similar in the Icon, and all that technology trickles down into this rod line. And these are very affordable. The Icons, I think they start at. Does it have a price on it, Nick? I think they're one. I'm sorry, they're all $219. Yeah. So you can buy any one of these rods, $219. From BFS all the way up through to a flipping stick. I think they're all the same exact price. So they're very affordable. You're getting a lot of high quality graphite. You're getting American made. You're getting great componentry on it. You're getting the Cashin. I think it's either woven fiber of some sort. I don't know if it's carbon fiber, but it's a woven carbon fiber handle that doesn't get slippery, doesn't get, when it gets wet, it stays nice and tacky in your hands, kind of by the edges.
Yeah, you can feel that right away.
Yeah, you can feel it right away. And the reel seats, quality reel seat, a good quality reel seat. So everything about the rod is quality. It's all made in the United States, down in North Carolina.
What can't you love about that, right?
Gotta freaking love it. Yeah. Those guys are cool guys. The guy that owns the company is like some kind of nuclear physicist or some sort. I think he comes from the nuclear world.
Nice.
Yeah, thanks, Tim. We were having brain farts on Johnny Cruz.
Yeah, I know. I'm thinking like, and I was just watching the elites today.
I was just leaning on you because I can't remember anybody's
George
name.
is going to be disappointed because he would have had that one just like that.
Yeah.
It's all right. George
isn't here. All right, so that's the tackle talk for today, Nick. If you want to slide that over there. I do have a little bit of tournament talk here. Not much. We're just going to kind of stay on here for just a few more minutes. So big, couple big tournaments going on right now. The Elite Series started today.
Yep.
Exactly. Very, very exciting. Had it on all day in the shop. And you know what was cool about this, Nick? Day one of this tournament, they actually had cameras in the boat.
I know. That was awesome.
That was unbelievable. They had coverage. Can you imagine that?
Their coverage is great.
The coverage is awesome.
Yes, it is.
So, and you probably know where I'm going with this one. I'll get there in a minute. But unbelievable turnout for that tournament. Beautiful, beautiful day down on where the hell are they fishing?
Toledo Bend.
Toledo Bend. Mm-hmm. And the thing about this tournament is and somebody said that they weren't catching them on forward facing, but I'm telling you right now, a lot of them guys are forward facing today.
Most of the fish I seen weighed in were forward facing.
Yeah, a lot of the guys were catching them forward facing. Yep. I mean, that's majority of the people were catching them forward facing. As a matter of fact, our boy George texted me and said a couple of things. They smoked them on scoping.
They did.
Number one. Number two, there was 2 rookies in the top 10.
Yeah, and most of them caught 20 pounds, the rookies.
The Gee had 29 pounds. A rookie by the name of Robert Gee's in second place with 29 pounds. And Milliken he's in top 10 with 21, I think, or 22 something.
Well, not only did they catch him on forward facing, but there's something to remember. The wind was horrendous today. So everyone that was weighing in was saying that tomorrow will be better because the wind's going to die down and they're going to be able to fish it even better. So the forward facing was the deal. Although some of those fish will go up shallow too.
Yeah.
Yep.
So first place, unbelievable, 31-3. Koya Fujita.
He's an amazing.
I call him Fuji.
He's good.
Amazing fisherman. All forward facing.
All forward.
You know that he was forward facing. That guy's forward facing junkie.
He had that weight by 9:30.
Yeah.
Yep.
Unbelievable. Mm-hmm. And then second place, like I said, is that Robert Gee with 29 pounds. And to make the top 10, you needed 22.6. Guess who else is in the top 10? Very interesting. Jordan Lee.
Oh, yeah, he's back.
Doesn't shock me one bit.
Yep.
I always said Jordan Lee, man, a hell of a fisherman. 2-time Bassmaster Classic.
Yeah, he's a great
winner. Yeah. Back to back. And went to the MLF. I know he thought that was a great thing to do, but he's back now. And he has something to give to everybody, and that is catching fish.
He's good.
That boy just flat out catches them.
And he catches the right size.
And yes. And the other thing as a takeaway is Ben Milliken is super famous fisherman, YouTuber. Everybody knows Ben Milliken Fishing. Does great videos, does all that. The dude's in top 10.
And you know what I took notice about him today, which was great? People enjoy watching him.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
it's going to be worth Bass time to make sure that camera boat stays on.
What's his shirt? 409?
402.
402?
Yep.
I'm going to get me one of them shirts. What's it mean? You know what it means?
I think it is something to do with where he lives.
Oh.
I think that's pretty much what it is.
I can't figure this stuff out.
But you want to know something? Somebody on here did say that forward facing didn't play. I want to tell you how much forward facing played. Somebody that's coming to the shop here in Cabin Fever walked across the weigh-in stage today and said, I've struggled until I got the sonar out. And that was Bernie Schultz.
Ah.
Yep. And that's not usually what he would do.
No, he's old school.
He's old school.
So he was forward facing.
Oh yeah, that's how he caught his biggest fish today.
No kidding.
He said, and he held out until around 3 o'clock or whatever it was, and then he went and did it, and now he knows what he's going to do tomorrow. So there you go.
Freaking hard headed, man.
Yep.
I can see him being a hard head, but we're gonna break it. We're gonna break him free from that when he comes to Cabin Fever in March.
Break him free.
Yeah. We're gonna break him free from all those things he holds on to, the stuff, all his problems. You know, he holds on to this stuff. But Jordan Lee, man, great job. I mean, he just he ended up in 8th place, I think.
That's impressive.
But also Milliken and his deal. Pat Schlapper was 3rd. Luke Palmer was 4th. Stetson Blaylock was 5th, or is 5th. Cody Hupp and Kobe Krieger. Kobe Krieger had a 9.5 today. And then that freaking son of a gun comes in right towards the end of the tournament. What was ever his name was, and catches a 9 and weighs in a 9.6.
That's crazy.
That pissed me off. Like
that's
like the second to the last guy.
Wait a minute. I think you and George did that once. So
didn't do it on purpose. Did not do that on purpose. I think this guy sandbagged it.
He waited. He wanted
waited
to just,
he waited.
Make it interesting.
Yeah. 9.6. Can you believe that? He got beat out by 1 ounce for Lunker. Right
there you go. Nebraska area code is 402.
Oh, the 402 is a Nebraska area code. James Garrity. Thank you, brother. Oh, I just wonder what that was today when they were all talking about.
Yeah, he's all about that.
I wonder how many Milliken 402 shirts are going to be out in the crowds.
Yeah.
You know, he sells like a jillion of them.
And you know what? He's the real deal.
Yeah, he's a real deal. He says what he's, you know what I like about him? He's self-sponsored. You don't have to worry about anything. He can say what he wants.
Yep. And
he can do what he wants. And he's not held to anybody else's standards.
No, you got to respect that.
And even though all that is true, you see how he acts. He's respectful.
Yeah. He's
a very respectful guy. And he was been in all kinds of tournaments. Like this guy fishes like 1 million tournaments. And he's been in some controversial situations on his tournaments on his GoPros.
Yeah.
Controversial stuff. And
it's controversial.
It was controversial, but he handled himself well.
He does.
He handled himself well. People yelling and screaming at him, people cutting in on him, throwing over his lines, and he handled himself very well.
And the other thing is he's not afraid to show it.
No.
No.
He can say what he wants, but he's having that kind of power, on a big stage like he is, he's very responsible.
Yeah.
And I think one thing I did notice about him, angel number 402 is a message from your angels. Paul Spence. I'm gonna have to read that, Paul. Have faith and trust in the power of the universe. 402.
Huh. I did not know that.
Now it's very controversial. That's a very controversial situation.
See, he just keeps getting.
Now we got a 402, with the Angels, and we have a 402 with the zip code.
Another thing that he's got that's controversial, and I know this is a fact. If you watch him in the front of his boat, look at the size of his screen in the front.
That thing is humongous.
There's people that don't have TVs that size.
That thing is humongous.
Yeah, it is.
And what's really funny about that screen is he has a Garmin 12-inch screen in his rod box.
Is that how that works?
Because it won't run unless it runs through that screen.
I did not know.
It's got to run through. It's got to run through the black box into that graph, the 12-inch graph, to go up on the 27-inch TV up front.
You know what? You can't blame him though.
I don't know,
because it's working.
And then I saw that picture today that George sent me.
There it is, 22-inch
NBT screen. Yeah, correct, Paul. And correct me if I'm wrong on that, Paul. About has to run through another graph that sits in his rod locker. George would set me straight on that, but I'm almost positive that's the deal. I heard him talking about that because it doesn't run right into the black box.
Mike, you know who I was pulling for today so bad, and they were on live. I was pulling for Hackney.
Yeah.
I was hoping that because he was pitching and flipping.
I got to clear something up, Nick.
Mm-hmm.
I got to clear something up. People
Yeah.
were hate mailing me from last show, and I just want to tell everybody that I wasn't busting on Greg, Hackney about being old and never going to win a tournament again.
I don't know. George didn't take it that
No,
way.
that's not what I was saying. What I was saying was that he's never going to win a tournament because he's not embracing the new technology.
Today kind of showed that is true.
How hard-headed are you to go in there and flip the bank for?
And he did it all day.
He did it all day.
He was committed.
Yeah, and it was he 63rd place or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not saying he would have went out there with a forward facing and caught him. I'm just saying that he had all off season to figure it out.
It's kind of a shame because I'm watching him and it's old school Hackney.
I love
doing
it.
His thing.
I love Hackney.
But then you're like, because we know what the weights are. He doesn't know. And
Jason Christie did the same thing.
Like, man, it's just not the deal.
I couldn't understand Jason Christie. He's a great forward facing guy, and he stayed on the bank for a long time.
Yeah, he did.
1:30, 2 o'clock.
Yeah. Yep.
I mean, who am I to say? And I didn't mean anything because I like Greg Hackney, but people came in here, man, they were hating on me big time.
Oh yeah.
Oh, they hated on me bad, and I was like, listen, you need to take a step back first of all. Yeah. Number one, before you start hating on me. Number two, you need to calm down. You need to calm down right now.
This is serious stuff, Mike.
It's serious, but I proved my point today.
It did.
Today.
What can you
They
say?
were flipping the bushes like he was flipping and casting a jig and that stuff and just trying to make that work like you wouldn't believe.
And you know what, though? The crazy thing is those fish could move up tomorrow, and it could be the deal. I wouldn't want to be in his shoes tonight because he's thinking, okay, now tomorrow I got to go forward facing.
I know, but see, this is what happens. This is why I'm worried about that. Those fish are going to move up.
They are going to.
And I don't know what the weather is down there, but they, just say so happens that the reason he was fishing that is because he caught 2 kickers.
Yes.
On that bank. He had 2 hammers on there, and he's like, they're coming to me. They're going to come in there.
Yep.
Well, now all of a sudden he has a crappy day, and now you have to make that decision. Do you go back?
And what would you do?
Well, I tell you what I do. I had a situation where the Sassafras tournament, where I ran down the Sassafras day 1, did terrible because of the freaking stars didn't align for whatever reason. After having a unbelievable practice, going to win the tournament kind of practice, I ran down there day 1, didn't get the bites. So day 2, you know what I did? I didn't go down.
You scrapped it.
I scrapped it. I stayed up. And the guys that went down whacked them.
Oh, you got burned.
I got burned. But it was my decision. So what do you do, Hackney? What are you going to do?
What do you do?
What do you do, Greg Hackney? It's a terrible situation.
It is a terrible situation.
It's controversial.
It is very controversial. That's why we watch.
I had controversial statements on here, but it wasn't directed towards hate. Okay. Just so you guys know. All right. So that's that tournament. And the other tournament was the, let's see right here. The MLF on Santee Cooper is going on right now. I know you haven't been able to watch it. And the funny thing was it's the BPT on Santee Cooper.
Yep.
They didn't have any TV coverage for the first 2 days. And we got the text, the video, the only video that was out there was what the anglers were putting up.
Right.
So our boy, James Watson jumps on and, Watson says, and I quote, he said, today people were thinking I'm fishing docks. And he shines his phone around. I'm not fishing docks. I'm fishing timber. And that's because we don't have any cameras in the boat. And he says, it figures because I'm freaking catching them like crazy.
Yeah.
And we don't have any effing cameras in the boat.
Yeah, he was animated.
He was very animated.
Mm-hmm.
And I quote the effing part.
Oh, yeah.
And he ended up for his section. A, whatever, day one, Group A. He was in fourth place with 37.15. But it would have been nice to see that.
Yeah, it would have.
But you know who was leading that group? Wheeler.
He smoked them.
Wheeler had 50 pounds for day one.
Yeah.
And his best 5 went 29 pounds.
He's impressive.
And I hated the way they put that in the article that I read. I read the article and it said that, you know, he whacked him. He had 50 pounds of bass and his best 5 would have been 29.03. Well, you can't put that in there.
Yeah,
I don't want to know what your best 5 is because you're not counting your best 5.
It's over.
Don't come in here and start saying about your best 5 because you can't do that.
No.
You're off that program, Boyd Duckett. You're off it. You got to say that I caught 50 pounds of bass today, which is impressive as hell.
They're known for changing the rules. They might change the rules tomorrow.
Well, they might, but you can't be putting that in an article that, oh, my best 5 was 29.03. Sorry, you're not in that group. That's the Elite Series, and that's over here with BASS.
There is one other point.
And that boy caught 31.03 today.
There is one point that you made, though. The best 5 were 29, but he ended up having 50-some. So what that's telling us is it is tougher to catch fish because, you know.
Yeah, it definitely is. Wheeler, he didn't go into detail, but what he said was he came up with, in practice, he found something out.
Okay.
It's a certain pattern with a certain piece of structure. And I imagine it's a grass type of grass, the way it sets up on a certain part of the lake, or, you know, a certain setup. And all he ran it, and his day, it was no wind. So he was able to run and gun that pattern. And he just went all over the lake. But the majority of his fish, he caught off of one spot. He caught 29 pounds of the 50 off of one spot, including a 6-something, a 5-something, and a 4-something.
That's impressive.
So that guy's just, I mean, I don't know.
Caitlin just posted, MLF has been canceled according to every single comment on all of their posts.
Yeah. Well, all week long, she was telling me, like, Dad, you got to see this, read this. And I would read a post because she does all the social media. So she's on all the social media. And people are just hating on that. That first 2 days, they weren't covered. They were absolutely hating on it. And people, she says canceled, like people are canceling out of their head. They're just, they're canceling it. That's what the new kids are saying now.
You're canceled.
Yeah, you're canceled. The kids are saying that stuff.
All right, I got you.
We got to stay up with these terms.
Yeah, we got to stay up.
We don't know about all these terms. Just like the waypoints on the 360.
Oh, yeah.
That freaking blows me away. Now somebody else said on here you can get that on the Helix.
Like I was trying to tell you, I don't think he knew much about the Helix part. You can use and get those waypoints on there. You just need the puck. And then that puck needs to go into the back of your unit, and then that'll allow you to do that.
Really?
Yeah. Yep.
So if you had a puck,
yep,
for GPS,
yes, it would
put the waypoints on the 360.
Yes.
How freaking cool is that?
It is cool because exactly what he said is as it's going around.
Yeah. You can see the covers on that.
Right
yeah.
on that rock or that stump or
yeah.
whatever it is you're
and it
doing.
shows you where it's at.
And it shows it.
Oh, that's so cool. I always said 360 is like the best. If I was going to pick one or the other, I would buy a 360 first.
Guaranteed. And I'll tell you why.
It's
just
easy.
For the simple fact that seeing that cover
gives
you confidence where you're casting.
Yeah.
That's
exactly. It's almost like that.
Mm-hmm.
That's a game changer for everybody. Why watch days 3 and 4 when you can watch Kate's a hater too.
She's being controversial.
Caitlin, you're controversial, and she's canceling. She's a canceler.
She's canceling.
All right, so there you have it. So day 2 for B is tomorrow. You'll see Wheeler. Wheeler's winning it with 50 pounds. So tomorrow they bring the TVs back. I think.
Here's the problem.
I can't follow it.
But Mike, here's the problem that they're going to have.
What's that?
Bass is on.
I know. I know what I'm watching.
So, I mean, it's just going to be hard.
I know what I'm watching. All right, guys. We ran way over time. Also, she says, oh, okay. So Caitlin's bringing up a bunch of dirt. If you guys will read the comments, she's asking me about my fantasy fishing team. And I did start fantasy fishing this year.
How'd that go, Mike?
And it didn't go well. But I do have Milken, so he's doing well. But I think I'm like 3,000th place. But our very own Skeeter Steve is number 1
overall
on the throw it in the tank thing, or fish the tank, or whatever that second thing is.
That is so impressive. It's not even like number 1. That's number 1.
Skeeter Steve is number 1. Unfreaking believable. It's just I couldn't believe it. And he was number 1, then he went to number 3, and then he went to number 5, and then when it was all over, he's back up to number 1 again.
Yeah, he drained the lake.
Drain the lake. Yep, whatever. I didn't know what it was called.
So Mike,
I'm like 4,000. I think I'm 6,000 and drain the lake, and I'm 3,095. Now, what
did you not pick a team?
What they do is, this is what Skeeter Steve does. He says, "Well, I'm in the 92 percentile, or I'm in the 98 percentile," and he doesn't tell me where he's at. He doesn't tell me a number. I like to know a number.
So on the regular one, he's in the 94th.
94 percentile,
but he's 1,400 overall. But in Drain the Lake, he is number.
He's number 1 in Drain the Lake.
So let's get back to you.
Yeah,
what happened with your picks here? Did they ever fish before?
I didn't do my research real well. I was kind of going off of what I remembered.
History.
You got to understand, Skeeter Steve, he's a part timer. All right, let's get it straight. He's a part-time retiree. All right, so as a part-time retiree, he has much time on his hands.
He's watching YouTube.
His boat is at the shop getting worked on, so there's no fishing going on.
Yeah.
So you know what he's doing? He's sitting at home on his computer doing all this research on all these anglers, and he came up with a good lineup.
He really did.
And I don't know why he isn't winning number 1 on the other one.
Because he picked different players on the other one.
Yeah.
And that didn't do him well.
Yep. All right. Well, I'll do better on the next. Well, it's not over yet.
It's not over.
Skeeter Steve said one of his best finishes was day 1. He was like in 4,000th place, and he came all the way up to 150.
So at least give us some anglers that you picked, so that if we watch tomorrow.
Well, I got Greg DePalma.
Okay.
I mean, I'm
coming
going with GDP every time.
Yeah.
I mean, he's going to be on my list. And I have I've got Milliken.
Okay.
And Suck Up.
Yeah, he didn't do well.
He didn't do well.
No.
I can't remember the other guys. I don't know. I once I found out where I was at, I just stopped paying attention.
You'll be 7,000th by next week.
At least I'm playing.
That's right.
That's enough. All right, guys. I appreciate you guys very much for stopping in. And next week it'll be Mike, George, and Cameraman Nick.
That's right.
Thanks for sticking with us. We had fun. We love doing this, me and Nick. And guess what Nick's going to do now? He's going to go get in his truck and drive to Florida tonight.
Boat and truck are out front.
It's out front.
And I'm ready to go.
He's jumping on. You think I'm kidding? He's going to go out, leave right now. I wanted to cut the show short because I felt so bad. He's going to go out, get in his truck, and he's driving to Florida. Is that freaking crazy or what?
Yep. And then we're going to do some social media.
And
stay tuned, because we're going to put him in the boat.
We want to see it, and we want to hear about it, because I think it's an awesome trip, and I hope you have a great time.
Thank you, Mike.
Yep, you betcha. Till next time, we'll catch you on the next Tackle Shop Live.
Sunny day, right there you took my breath away. Young and pretty, was it just a dream? The next day you called me up, you told me I'm your little buttercup. You came over and you fell into my arms. Well, I know what I feel. Please tell me your love is real. You make me